Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. In today's St Kilda's strategy video, I've finally done one. I said I was going to and I actually wasn't going to. I was really lazy with it until today, but I'll be previewing how St Kilda can defeat Melbourne. And if you're new to this series, it's where I go through 3 players that I think are very influential to whatever team it is that we're playing, in this case Melbourne. I sort of break down their strengths, their weaknesses. It's very amateur. I shouldn't say breakdown. I'm not an analyst, but you know, it is something I like to do. So, yeah, we'll be getting into the 3 Melbourne players that I think are very influential to their team. And if we shut them down, we are a much better chance at winning. I think that the first player is Christian Petrarca. Now, he's played every game this year, and he's just stepped into this limelight beautifully. I don't know if it's just because he's been given the opportunity or the time, or whether it's just a mixture of both, but he's averaging 24.5 disposals this year, looking really good in their midfield, and he is the catalyst to why they've been doing so well. You know, even when Gawn has been out and Jones has been out, I know that he's not the player he used to be, but he's just stepped up fantastically, and it's really good to see. You like to see young players that have been so highly touted take a little bit of time. You know, he may have been highly criticised at one point, but now he's sort of starting to rise into his career. And it's the same with Jack Billings as well. You know, he was highly touted, went through a bit of a rough period with Richo, and now he's with Rats. He's really started to progress, and it's been really good to see. Now, I think that he's just so good. He does not stop running. He's got a massive tank, and what I mean by that is in his last game, he spent 95 minutes on the ground out of a possible 104. Now, that is insane. So I think he's really influential. He's got a massive tank. He's like a bull, and he's just such a silky player. He just seems to get out the back, and I'm not meaning like he's inside 50 all by himself, but in a contest, he just manages to just get the ball out the back and just run with it. So we need to stop his run. I'm not sure if Zach Jones will go to him. I think that it could be a role for him potentially. If I'm going to put one on it, of course, I'd go Steele, but his development, you can't really taper that. And in a game like this, you need him to be our number 1 midfielder. You can't take him out of the game. So I personally would put Seb Ross on him. Seb Ross, awesome things on Lachie Neale on Sunday, and I think that that's really important. He held Lachie Neale to 0 clearances, which is amazing, and only like 16 disposals. So that's huge. And it's not something I expected from Seb, because he's usually been that number 1 midfielder. But now that Steely stepped into that spot, I think that it's really important that he gets the job on him. Now, Petrarca's one weakness that I think is really important to us exploiting him is his disposal efficiency. It was at 58% last week, had 26 disposals, so 14 of them are hitting. And I think that's really important, that we need to just pressure every kick. He seems to find the ball in a lot of space, which I guess sort of works in our favour if he's got 58% efficiency, because it means that if he gets 10 kicks in space, 10 uncontested possessions, he's probably only going to hit 5 or 6 of them. So that's important, that we need to really make sure that we're on him all the time, make every disposal difficult. I think he had 7 turnovers last week as well, so it shows that when he's going forward, or wherever it is, but I think here's a scenario. If he's going forward, our half-back really need to be on point to just pick off those marks. And I think that is how we win the game, is that rebound off half-back. We just need to show it and flex it and kick goals off of it. You know, it worked against the Dogs, who are a very similar team, worked against the Tigers. It works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We just really need to hone in on that. And with Hunter Clark back there as well, it's going to be really influential to that part of our game. My second player is Max Gawn. Now, I don't really think I need to say much about young Max Gawn. He's had a couple of weeks out, which I think could be either good or bad. You know, I'm not sure if they've rushed him back or not. They may have. I don't think they have, though. You know, they probably would have brought him back against the Dogs if they were going to rush him. So I think he will be as close to 100% as can be, and that sucks. But look, I back our rucks. I think that combination will slowly wear him down over time, because they don't have a second ruck today. You know, they don't have that Braden Pruce, or they don't have that Tom McDonald at a stretch. They're going to have to call on somebody that I don't think they want to, and that works into our favour. We just need to run him off his feet, and that is really important. And I think that's where our second ruckman will really come into it potentially late. I think early he may get on top of us just as we're starting to warm into the game and get that ruck combo to work. But I think late, especially if the game has been really, really played out wide on the wings, I think that's where we'll get on top of him. I think just our Marshall's work around the ground and Paddy Ryder's tap work in the middle, it'll really start to pay off, I think, in the third quarter. And hopefully we can get on top of them in the midfield there as well, if we don't do it beforehand. He's pretty good with the ball, Max Gawn. He averages 80% efficiency-ish. Only 3.1 turnovers a game as well, so he's really, really good with the ball. And he's a kick-first ruckman, which, I mean, that is something. Usually you don't expect ruckman to kick first. You usually expect them to give the handball. But if he's averaging 80% efficiency with 10 kicks a game, that's something to look out for, and I think that's really important. How do we beat him? I think we just need to wear him down, as I said, run him around the ground. He doesn't have any support, so I think he'll be playing the majority of the game time, whereas we can positionally manage our ruckman. We can send Marshall down forward if we need to and Paddy into the middle, and vice versa. We've also got King and Membry. We just need to stay on top of him, to be honest, and that's how we win the game. He's a very defensive ruckman, so that works for us because it shows that if they go forward and Ryder's in our back line and he's in the middle, well, Marshall can come up, King, Membry. We got numbers there, which is good, and I'm really glad that we're playing the two ruckmen. So that's a really, really good, it's a really good in for us. Not that they were out, but it's a really good decision for us to play the two ruckmen. I thought that we might have taken one out, maybe, but we've got the bye next week, so we should go pedal to the metal and hopefully it pays off tonight. My third player to look out for is Clary, Clayton, Oliver. Now, I know that these are three Melbourne players that are pretty well known, but they haven't really had any young shining lights. They've had shining lights, but like when you look at ours, like if I was a Melbourne supporter, I'd be saying, look out for King, look out for Marshall, look out for Steele, look out for Patton, sort of thing. Like, it's not your Bradley Hills or your Zach Joneses. It's Steele's had a breakout year. So, they're playing all right. And they're really influential to how Melbourne run. And if I look at Clayton Oliver's week last week, 15 disposals at 80% efficiency, 8 contested. So that is, he's a pretty uncontested to contested sort of player. He can go and get his own ball, but he can also get it on the outside and move it forward. Now, he only had 15 disposals last week, which I think is good because he didn't have a massive impact. So I think we just need to play that run with roll. I think that Steele will be pretty happy with that, because if you just look at the Doggies midfield in comparison to that, Oliver had 15 and a goal. Let's say McRae was on him, he had 26. So it does show that if you do get on top of Oliver, you can go and get your own ball, which I think is important. It's what Steele's done. He held Cripps to 5 disposals in the first half and had 20 himself. So that's really important. And I think that, that's a way to shut him down, is to get on top of him and just hurt him on the rebound. Don't try and take yourself out of the game. Take him out of the game and then just hurt him. Hurt him with what you're doing. He's pretty clinical with the ball. 1 turnover, 80% efficiency. He's good. He's really good with the ball. So, again, just need to pressure him. Make sure that every disposal he gets is difficult for him. If you look at this, he's a pretty kick to handball 9-6. So that's also very interesting. It shows that he can use both disciplines. Usually midfielders you look at McRae, for example, 9 kicks, 17 handballs. So he's a pretty well-rounded midfielder. We just got to make sure that we get on top of him, and hopefully the rest of the midfield go down with him. Our clearance work is going to be really important tonight. I think if we can, win the clearances and get it forward, it really puts pressure on their midfield and their back line, because they haven't got the world's best back line. They've got a pretty similar one to us. We've obviously dropped Carlisle, so I think we've noticed that they've got a pretty small forward line. So we're going to run with that, and our smalls are elite. So they've got a pretty well-rounded back line, but I think that it is one that under pressure they struggle with. So if we look at this, Stephen May, Jake Lever, Oscar McDonald and Hibbard, they all sort of struggle under pressure. Tomlinson hasn't had a fantastic year this year, so he's definitely a player we can exploit. And Christian Salem is sort of, he's just there, isn't he? He's doing all right, but he's not really, you know, he's not clinical in their back line. So I think that if we can get on top of their back line, they're definitely people that we can, it's definitely a game that we can win in our forward half, especially if our midfield can complement them and get up and kick a couple of goals as well, because that's something that they do very well. Steele's averaging a goal a game, Hill can kick goals, Billings kicks goals, Jones kicks goals. So, you know, it's definitely a game we should win. Again, I'm predicting us by a few goals. Hopefully we can get it done. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know how you think we'll go in the comment section down below. Cheerio, sayonara, go Saints, and goodbye.